The message I wanted to get out is that Springfield's a great place. This is a great community with great people. And it's been bothering me, frankly, some of the things that have been said about what's going on there. Are there challenges? Absolutely. There are challenges. You take 15,000 people and put them in a community that's, what's 58,000 according to the last census, and you're going to have a lot of growing pains. You're going to have a lot of different challenges. Probably the biggest challenge is for everybody is in regard to health care, because the primary care is overloaded now. And so what we are doing really is frankly our main focus. We have other things, but the main focus is to get more primary care in there. So we're creating a mobile clinic that will be starting out next week. We're also now actively looking for a location to put a clinic, a permanent clinic in there. And these are not to replace anything that's in there, but really just take the burden off the system. And what that is going to mean is that whether you're Haitian or not Haitian, the wait time is going to be down. One of the things that we hate to see is that, people were trying to get vaccinations and the health department, had booked them for, a number of weeks in the future because there just wasn't the capacity. So that's one of the main things we're working on.
Reading through the piece, you obviously have some very sentimental and nostalgic feelings about the city of Springfield, the city where you were born.
Yeah.
What does it mean to you?
Well, this is Springfield's the place where my future wife, Fran, and I, when we were in high school and we were dating, we would go. We would go to the State Theater or Regent Theater. We'd go out to eat at Howard Johnson's, and it was, when you grow up in Yellow Springs, it's the first big city close to you, and that's where we went a lot. So I also, when I represented Springfield in Congress for 8 years, my main office was in the post office in Springfield. So a lot of great memories. Know a lot of people there. A community that really went through some very tough times in the 70s and 80s, and really a little bit into the 90s. But then we started to see, an upturn. And I think one of the things that really bothers me about some of the publicity is that it overlooks the fact that Springfield is moving forward. I mean, we're seeing manufacturing coming in. We're seeing companies. I deal with companies all the time that are looking to Ohio for a potential location. They're looking at Springfield. They don't all end up there. Some end up someplace else. But they're all looking now at Springfield. It's got great transportation. You're right on the interstate highways. The cost of living is reasonable. Just a lot of very, very positive things.
In the piece, you wrote, as a supporter of former President Donald Trump and Senator J.D. Vance, I am saddened by how they and others continue to repeat claims that lack evidence and disparage the legal migrants living in Springfield. How hurtful is that rhetoric?
I think the rhetoric is hurtful. I think it's hurtful to everybody in Springfield. The reality is that the Haitians who are there came to work. They're like every other immigrant group that's ever come in. The difference, of course, is the large number, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But they came to work. They are legal. Despite what's been said, they are actually legal. Now, we can talk about immigration policy. Maybe the policy should be changed. What I would hope people would talk about, particularly those running for office and president, is the mess at the southern border. It is a total mess. And, you can lay that on the Biden administration. Trump has talked about what he wants to do. I think he should continue to do that, talk about the southern border. But this, talking about legal immigrants who are here in Springfield, really, I think is very hurtful. It also takes people away from the task at hand. The task at hand is, how do we accommodate not just the Haitians, but everybody else in the community? How do we make our roads safer? How do we get more driving education in with the Haitians? How do we make sure that a pregnant mother, no matter who she is, can get prenatal care very early on in that pregnancy? These are all basic things that we are working on along with the city, along with the county, every single day.
Do you have any dialogue with the campaign about the rhetoric?
Look, I have not talked to the president nor the vice presidential candidate, but I do have people I talk to on the campaign, sure.
Asking them to stop with the rhetoric?
Yeah, it's just not helpful, and I wish they would. I just wish they would, focus on the bigger issue, which is a big issue of immigration. This is part of the challenge, I think, for this country for many, many years has been we have not been able to get to the discussion about legal immigrants. Who should come in here legally? Who should not come in? Who do we want in this country? Under what criteria? We never get to that discussion because we're always labeling everything, the illegal immigrant problem. And what's ironic about this is these Haitians are not illegal. They're legal here.
Yeah. You said yesterday that, about President Trump's comment, or former President Trump's comments about coming to Springfield, that, every candidate has the right to campaign wherever they see fit to talk about the issues that they want to talk about. But with the way the temperature is in Springfield right now, do you think that would be a good idea for him to come, and would you prefer that he doesn't?
Well, some of my best memories are going to see Richard Nixon in 1960 going on a train, and then 4 years later, Barry Goldwater both of them stopped right in the middle of Springfield. I can't ever discourage a candidate for president, whether it's a third party or whatever it is, going to a community, particularly a community in Ohio, and campaigning. I think it's a wonderful thing. The mayor has outlined, though, very clearly, Mayor Rue, that this will be a big strain, and it will be a strain on law enforcement. It'll be a strain on the whole community for a few days. But I can't discourage him from coming. This is America. These are campaigns. We're down to 50 days. People have a right to go, wherever they think they should be campaigning.
And the resources would be able to handle it because of Secret Service leading
Look,
the charge?
It'll get handled. I mean, the Secret Service will be the lead. Our local police and Highway Patrol will certainly be very much engaged, and we'll put whatever resources we need in there to take care of it.
You obviously talk to a lot of people in town. You know a lot of people, and of course they know who you are. What do the employers in Springfield tell you about the kind of employees the Haitians are?
Fran and I had a breakfast at our house this past Monday morning, and we invited some of the employers, a lot of the employers who employ Haitians and who've done so for some time. Here's what they said. We started hiring them right as we were coming out of the pandemic, and we saw our business really pick up, and we didn't have enough workers. And we found that these Haitians were legal. We could actually legally hire them. What we found is we had some language challenges, we had some culture challenges, but they're really good workers, is what they told us. Said they show up, they pass drug tests, we can put them in, and they will adapt. They'll figure out how to be a good part of the production. And he says they want to work. So I had one employer actually look at me and he says, I don't think I would be in business today if it wasn't for the Haitians I've been able to hire. Others said something about we wouldn't be able to expand as much. So part of what, the good news with the Haitians coming in is they're helping the economy. If you're not growing, you're going downhill. You have to grow. That's what we have to do. We've always wanted to do in this country. And seeing Springfield, that it was down, now growing, is a good thing. Does that pose challenges? Absolutely. It poses challenges with Haitians driving, who maybe not have had experience driving in the United States. It poses challenges with health care. A whole bunch of things that we have to work on and deal, and we are. And we're going to continue to do that. And long after this campaign is over with, we will be, and the people of Springfield will be about the job of providing the care and the help so that this community, not just the Haitians, but everybody, can move forward.
You talked about the downtimes for Springfield. You close your op-ed with Springfield today has a very bright future. What makes you believe that?
Springfield has a bright future. It has a bright future because of, frankly, what we're seeing every day. We're seeing companies look at Springfield. If you go back in the last 10 years, we've seen a lot of companies move to Springfield and employ people and create jobs. These are all the things of a growing community. I'd rather have the problems of a growing community rather than the problems of a declining community. And Springfield was declining for a long, long time. Now it's coming back.
So what do you think happens there after November 5th?
I think after November 5th, people across the country stop paying attention to Springfield, and that's okay. And we can get about the business, and the mayor can get about the business, and the city, and the people who employ people without this, frankly, this distraction. That will happen, and we will move on.
Director Wilson told me yesterday that there is no timeline for how long the state's resources are going to remain in place there. That it's basically stay until the job gets done. Is that your directive?
So in regard to keeping kids in school, I've told the principals, I've told the superintendent, we're going to be there as long as we need to be there. If threats continue and people are concerned, and by the way, all those threats have been bogus, but you can't tell that until you go in and check, and we do that very quickly. So we're going to stay there as long as we have to stay there. In regard to the health care, this is a long-term commitment. This fits into, frankly, what we think is very, very important, is every child have the opportunity to live up to their full potential. And that means, getting pregnant mothers early on the help that they need. I mean, we're seeing now in Springfield some moms who are delivering and who've never seen a doctor before that. That's not good. It's not good for the baby, not good for the mom, not good for society. And so a lot of focus on that, and we're going to continue to do that because it's important that this primary care get opened up, and we don't have the long waiting lists, and it's important for every person in Springfield, not just the Haitians.
Are you finding that most of the threats are coming in from overseas?
Well, yeah, a lot of
or foreign countries.
A lot of the threats are coming from overseas. Some are coming from this country. The FBI is the ones who's fielding those. They know how to do it. They have the expertise. They can tell us where they're coming from, and they can also, if there's a pattern to these, if they continue to see a certain pattern, we have a pretty good indication as soon as we look at that email that it's probably bogus. We still check things out, but they're really good at this.
Thank you, Governor.
Thank you.